If you are attending this meeting in person and would like to comment on this item, please fill out a request form to speak and turn into the secretary. If you are participating via Zoom and would like to comment on this item, please select the hand icon and unmute yourself. If you are calling in and would like to comment on this item, please dial *9 and press *6 to unmute yourself. I will wait a few moments. Chair, we do not have any speakers.
Thank you. Moving on to the consent calendar. Is there a motion to approve item A, minutes from October 25th, 2021?
I move.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Wu, seconded by Commissioner McLaughlin. Secretary, please call for roll call vote.
Commissioner Alderete.
Yes.
Commissioner Calderon.
Aye.
Commissioner McLaughlin.
Aye.
Commissioner Ramos.
Aye.
Commissioner Wu.
Aye.
Vice Chair Pham. Chair Morrissey.
Aye.
Motion is passed with majority vote.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve item B, minutes from November 8th, 2021, and item C, excused absences?
I so move.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Wu, seconded by Commissioner McLaughlin. Secretary, please call for roll call vote.
Commissioner Alderete.
Yes.
Commissioner Calderon.
Aye.
Commissioner McLaughlin.
Aye.
Commissioner Ramos.
Aye.
Commissioner Wu.
Aye.
Vice Chair Pham. Chair Morrissey.
Aye.
Motion has passed with majority vote.
That concludes the consent calendar. Moving on to the business calendar. Public hearing protocols. I'll now review the process for public hearings so that everyone knows what to expect. Staff will provide a presentation and answer questions from the commission. Public hearing will be opened. The applicant will be given the opportunity to speak, limited to 15 minutes. Members of the public will be given the opportunity to comment, limited to 3 minutes. The applicant will be given the opportunity to respond to comments made by the public, limited to 5 minutes. Public hearing will be closed. Discussion will return to the commission with formal action taken to approve, conditionally approve, deny, or continue review of the application. Please consider the following suggestions when organizing your comments. Please state your name and address, strictly voluntary. State whether you support, oppose, or are neutral to the proposal. And your statement should include all pertinent facts within your knowledge. Avoid gossip, emotion, and repetition. A clear, concise, and non-repetitive argument is most effective. This is the time and place for the public hearing on item number 1, conditional use permit number 2021-13 for the property located at 2112 East 4th Street. Please note that the decision on this matter is final and must appeal within 10 days by any interested individual or party. Before we begin, do the commissioners have anything they wish to disclose with regards to this item? Let's start with Commissioner Alderete.
No. Nothing to disclose.
Calderon.
Nothing to disclose.
Commissioner McLaughlin.
Nothing to disclose.
Commissioner Wu.
Nothing to disclose.
Commissioner Ramos.
No disclosures.
And I have nothing to disclose. And now we will have staff, Maggie and Cinto, will now provide a brief presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, members of the commission. So the item before you this evening is conditional use permit number 2021-13. The project site is located at 2112 East 4th Street. The applicant, Crystal Rodriguez Maramba, on behalf of AT&T Wireless and the property owner, is requesting approval of conditional use permit 2021-13 to construct a new 60-foot high major wireless facility disguised as a monopine, in addition to on-site improvements. So the project site is located within the general plan designation of District Center and Zone Professional. Surrounding land uses include to the north office buildings, as well as to the east and west. Towards the south is an apartment as well as retail. The lot size is 0.34 acres. This is a photo of the site. The proposed monopine would be located in the rear parking lot area. The equipment would be screened by an 8-foot block wall and surrounded by landscaping. As proposed, or in addition, are landscape improvements and trash enclosure improvements. As you can see on the screen is a site plan identifying the project site. A new planter would be constructed to accommodate for the new monopine. On the screen is an elevation showing the monopine and trash enclosure. On the screen is a photo simulation showing what the monopine would look like. So on-site improvements would include new landscaping to refresh the existing planters, as well as repairing existing irrigation on site to ensure that the landscaping is maintained. Trash enclosure improvements include coating the trash enclosure with new stucco and anti-graffiti coating, and providing a new wood trellis for the enclosure. This proposed project will reduce gaps in cellular coverage for the community and be located in an optimal area that would provide stealthing and screening. This facility would not adversely affect the general plan, as cellular facilities are designed to be compatible with the surrounding environment and are consistent with the goals and objectives of the land use element. Conditions of approval, a maintenance agreement, and standards of the Santa Ana Municipal Code will address any potential negative impacts. A Class 11 exemption will be filed for this project for accessory structures. No anticipated fiscal impact is associated with this project. Staff recommends adopting a resolution approving CUP 2021-13 as condition. That concludes my presentation, and the applicant is available via Zoom for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Jacinto. Does the commission have any questions for staff? Start with Commissioner Alderete.
No questions.
Commissioner Calderon.
I have no questions.
Commissioner McLaughlin.
No questions at this time.
Commissioner Wu.
No questions.
And I have no questions either. Have we received any written communication, Madam Secretary?
We have not received any written communication.
And we will now receive comments from the public. Madam Secretary, do we have any members of the public that would like to comment?
If you are attending this meeting in person and would like to comment on this item, please fill out a request form and turn it into the secretary. If you are participating via Zoom and would like to comment on this item, please select the hand icon and unmute yourself. If you are calling in and would like to comment on this item, please dial *9 and press *6 to unmute yourself. I will wait a few seconds. Chair, we do not have any speakers.
Thank you. Do we have any additional remarks from staff at this point? Nothing. Okay. I'll just bring it to a motion on this matter. Do we have a motion? Oh, I'm sorry. We'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission for any final questions or motion? Do we have any, do we have a motion to approve?
A motion to approve a conditional use permit number 2021-13. And a second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Calderon and a second by Commissioner Wu. Secretary, please call for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Aldereti,
Yes.
Commissioner Calderon,
Aye.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramos,
Aye.
Commissioner Wu,
Aye.
Vice Chair Pham,
I think I reviewed it during the meeting. Yes.
Chair Morrissey.
Aye.
Motion is approved with majority vote.
Thank you. That concludes the business calendar. Moving on to staff comments. Are there any staff member comments? Staff comments today?
Going to give you guys an update on SB 9. As you guys know, this is something that Governor Newsom approved back in September 16th. Basically, what it does is it allows for a single family parcel to be subdivided into 2 equal parts with a minimum lot sizes. A minimum lot size of 2,400 can be subdivided into 2, meaning that you can create lots that are 1,200. The lots that are subdivided has to be about 60 and 40, so it cannot be less than 40%. The lots that are being created, and all of this have to be done mysteriously, which means that it doesn't require any discretionary. The city staff has prepared an emergency ordinance that's going to be considered by city council on December 21st. And we'll come back to planning commission to host this and review the ordinance, the emergency ordinance. We discuss it and give feedback on some of the objective standards that can be imposed on applicants.
Okay, I can't hear you. Can you speak closer to your microphone?
Or can you hear me now better?
Yeah, it's much better.
I'm sorry about that.
Fading in and out.
Yeah, and it's my voice too that fades in and out as well. So hopefully you'll be able to hear me now. Anyway, as I was saying, is basically SB 9 allows for single family parcels to be subdivided, 2 parcels. And each parcel now can be developed with 1 primary unit and 1 accessory unit or junior accessory unit. So basically where you had 1 single family dwelling unit, you can have now 4. You cannot, it has to be done at staff level ministeriously. It can't be discretionary review. You cannot in the subdivision as well, and you cannot ask for any dedications or impose any burden onto the project. What staff has done is, because we still have some local control through imposing objective standards, basically architectural standards, but they have to be clear what those are. The staff has prepared an urgency ordinance that is going to be considered by City Council on the December 21st meeting. Once Council acts on that ordinance, we're planning to come back to the Planning Commission, hold a study session, most likely on the 2nd meeting of January. Based on the feedback we get from Planning Commission, if any changes or amendments are necessary, we will include those in the ordinance and go back to City Council for approval. So that's kind of like the course that staff envision taking with SB 9. And you have any questions?
Yes, Commissioner Wu.
What is the determinate lot size that governs this new SB 9?
I'm sorry, what was it again?
Well, I've heard 2,400 square foot lot can be subdivided. Right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So if you have a 1,200 square foot lot, you cannot subdivide.
That is correct.
So this SB 9 does not impact every lot, single family dwelling. What used to be R1 houses in Santa Ana, it will be dependent upon the lot size, right?
Yeah, it still depends on historic properties are exempt. So the city, we are proposing, staff is proposing those properties to be exempt.
We had a spurt of growth which resulted in Santa Ana and housing cookie cutter developments, right? Which put houses on their lot. I suspect those are 1,200 and less, probably will not be affected. But on the older neighborhood where there is 2,400 lots, are there going to be issues with access and ingress and egress from there? How do you share the plumbing too, or sewer system? If it's separate, right? Does the grantee give them total entitlement separately, or do we know yet? Or
Yeah, there will have to be individually lots standing on their own, including the improvements. There might be easements, that might have to be recorded for access in order to make the development happen. But we really can't prevent, if possible, that they can subdivide it in meeting the standards that the city puts in place. We cannot prevent those lots from being developed and subdivided. And we cannot also hinder or put requirements that will hinder development that would allow at least 2 units in each parcel with a minimum lot size or maximum unit size of 800 square feet.
so if the subdivision happens and I'm in the back lot size, do I have to go through the front house's bathroom and
For the what?
in order to get to my house? Or
I'm sorry, what
I'm
was
being
it?
facetious.
Okay,
Trying to
sorry.
understand-
Okay, got it.
To understand, I'm smiling on any and trying to understand this ordinance, do I, as trying to park my car or moped, because I don't know how to fit in the driveway down to 2 houses, do I have to go past my neighbor having relations with his wife, or something going on,
Well, you may share a driveway. I mean, it
I
all
don't
depends.
understand how 2,000
And if you're,
lot is not that big.
right, and I get that, but that's the state law. And one of the requirements is that if you're within half a mile of a major transit, which is defined as 2 major bus routes, or near light rail, or any other type of public transportation, access to public transportation, you're not required to provide any on-site parking.
And you do know I'm not denigrating planning staff. I just kind of worry about the work you have to do.
I appreciate that. Yeah, definitely. It's there's a lot in this B9.
I'm done, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions for staff?
Yeah, I just want to go back to the premise. You've got a property today that's at least 2,400 square feet. And you want to subdivide it into 2 separate properties, which then allows you to have 2 separate houses. But you can also have ADUs on those properties. So you could have approximately four dwelling units or 4 units on that property.
Right, where it used to be 1 single family.
So, but the ownership has to be separate ownership, is that correct?
Of the two lots, yes.
So how do you, I mean, what's to stop a married couple to turn around and say, all right, you put your name on this one, and I'll put my name on this property. And now they can basically make that property in from one house to 4 dwelling units by just subdividing in that respect?
Yes. Yes.
Where you gonna park?
And the fact is that there's no additional parking or anything like that.
Right. I mean, if it's within a half a mile of a transit, or a major transit stop was defined in CEQA and the Public Resources Code, and which a lot of the city does meet that criteria. We can't. I mean, we will encourage parking, obviously, and I think that most people will want to have at least uncovered parking, but we cannot require it.
Well, okay.
Any other questions?
Kevin, a quick question. Yeah.
Vice Chair.
Before, I know that we were mentioning we were working on a template for ADUs just to help the residents kind of navigate that process, makes it easier. Is this something similar? Will we be offering something similar to the lot split? Because I know it sounds easy, but there's numerous things that need to be considered when you split the lot. So will the city kind of have like the typical 6,000 square foot lot? This is how you would split it. This is how we would recommend you place it.
It's very unlikely, because what you're assuming is that every typical parcel has the existing dwelling placed kind of in the same configuration. And that, as we know, that's not the case. So each individual parcel has its own improvements. And so it'll be really hard to say, oh, this is what you do. I mean, the guidance is going to be there. It's on the Subdivision Map Act as well, what you need to do. And but it's to have just like a cookie cutter, or like, oh, we can use this plant. I don't anticipate doing that, because how buildings were placed, where the garages were placed. And, depending on the neighborhood, it'll be kind of hard to have a template, if that's what you're referring to.
Because I think it'll take some gymnastics to kind of reorganize that lot to fit for, because I think, we're all thinking worst case scenario for 4 units, but really I think it leads to a lot of problems for the homeowners and everyone down the road trying to juggle.
Right. I mean, the SB9 allows you to demolish up to 25% of the existing structure. However, if that structure is being rented out, or it's affordable housing, then you're not allowed to do that. But if it's your own property, you are the property owner, you can actually demolish your entire structure and subdivide the lot. We'll go through all of it during the study session.
You
There's a lot.
You can demolish the structure.
As long as it's not historic. Historic properties are exempt.
Right. No, I understand that.
So can I set up a bunch of teepees? Or the Chinese building, create a whole village.
That will not meet the definition of decent housing.
Yeah, that was a facetious question.
Mr. Chair, I also have comments. Just wanted to
Yep.
note that my hand is raised. Thank you.
Are you finished?
But I'd like to ask that the next day, the city council will consider this, right?
Yeah, December 21st.
Okay, so we meet the day before. If we're concerned about this, is there something we should do, Mr. Chair, to let the city council know we have some concern about it? And where I'm going is, I'm not against being able to create more housing, but I think we need to do it in a responsible way. We also have issues with water, and and with environmental issues. And so with the subdivision, sometime we create more problems, such as parking, which is already being complained about by several neighborhoods. So I was just wondering, is it within our thing as we consider to recommend something, or is something going to be created for us to recommend on the 20th?
Are you asking me or the chair?
I think my understanding is it's going to the council first, then the proposed ordinance is coming to us late January.
The study session, yes, and then following probably in February, the ordinance will.
This isn't an action item for us today, so you could.
No, it's
Right.
a discussion information. But I was just wondering if we had to act on something at the next meeting, or if council will look at it first.
Council will be looking at it first. It's an urgency ordinance. And so when it's an urgency ordinance, it can go straight to city council. And then what would happen is, because it becomes effective January 1st, by adopting an urgency ordinance, we'll have some objective standards in place by January 1st.
So we're meeting the day after the council or the day before?
We're meeting the day before, and that's a special meeting for the housing element.
Could we have this as an action item, or we refer some recommendations to the council at that meeting?
No, there's no time. There was very limited time to even work in the urgency ordinance.
That we could just make recommendations based on the actual ordinance at that meeting.
Absolutely. I mean, when it goes to city council, as commissioners or citizens of the community, you can provide comments. It is a public hearing.
The way it's agendized, there's nothing we can do. I mean, it's agendized as an update, so you can't go.
Not today, but so I have a question. How much what ability do we have to how much discretion do we have in terms of creating lot frontage? Are these going to be flag lots potentially, or
Potentially flag lots, the way this SB9 is written, you need to have street frontage of 12 and a half feet.
12 and a half feet minimum, so
yes.
it does stipulate a minimum frontage, lot frontage.
That's right, yes.
But our lots are rectangular and not squares, right? And if you're at the back part of the lot, in order to do the lot split, how can you have any frontage?
Well, I mean, they'll have to demonstrate that they can meet the objective standards that are going to be adopted in the ordinance. That they meet, we have to have an ordinance that is consistent with state law.
Is there any limitation on height?
Yes, there is 16 feet for lots that are greater than 2,000 square feet. You can have a one-story unit. If you have a lot that is smaller than 2,000 square feet, you can go up to 22 feet height.
I didn't quite get. You said if it's under 2,400 square feet.
2,000 square feet. If by any chance there is a lot, the minimum lot size can be 1,200 square feet under SB 9. So if you have a lot that is less than 2,000 square feet, you can have a building that is a structure that is 2-story with a maximum height of 22 feet.
But you got a house you got one facility is 1,600 square feet, you said? The lot size?
The lot size, yes, it has to less than 2,000 square
And
feet.
the other lot size at a minimum is 800 square feet.
No, the structure could be maximum unit. You cannot hinder for each lot to accomplish at least 2 units, 1 unit, at least the primary dwelling unit to be 800 square feet in size. Not the lot, but the unit. The minimum lot size is 1,200 square feet
The minimum lot size is 1,200 square feet.
under SB 9, yes.
Something's not adding up here because
For the
so the
divided.
minimum lot size to start with was 2,400 square feet.
I'm saying yes, to split it, yes.
Yeah, but then you say splitting it, it has to have a 60-40 split to it.
No. The minimum lot size to split into 2 is 2,400. But
Correct.
what I'm saying is, if you have somebody ask about height, and what I'm saying is for parcels that are 2,000, less than 2,000 square feet, you can have a unit that is 2-story with a height of 22 feet.
Okay.
Okay, do we have any other comments from the commissioners?
So this is Commissioner Ramos. I have a couple questions for staff.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Well, first, thank you, Seth, for providing as much information as you can on this right now. And my questions are a little bit more general in regards to the city's current process when residents come forth seeking guidance on adding an ADU to their property. What does that process currently look like, and how would SB 9 and any changes that the city has to make to be in compliance affect that process or change that process?
Process for ADU is not changing. What we're trying to implement is SB 9. So one of the things that we are proposing to include in the ordinance is that lots that are being split, that also to how the 2 lots will be developed to be processed at the same time. So we know exactly what they're proposing to do in each of the lots.
So what is the current process and how long does it take? If you can just walk me through it step by step.
Okay, so you're asking for SB 9 or you're asking for accessory dwelling units in general?
Accessory dwelling units in general in the city.
Basically, you submit your application and we have 60 days to process your application.
And is the city currently able to process applications within that 60-day timeframe?
Yes, we are. Except if they get corrections and the applicant, takes more time on their side, then no, we can't complete it in 60 days. But it's not because staff wasn't able to complete the process. It's because sometimes the applicants take longer to resubmit their plans with the corrections that were given.
Okay, and then just as I know you briefly spoke to this when it was brought up by another commissioner, but is the city at any point looking to create, I guess you could say like template plans, like plans that residents could adopt for their property? And I know that it'd be hard to create like cookie cutter plans, but maybe like general plans that could be adopted with maybe minor changes. And I ask that because I know that's done in other cities. I believe San Diego does that, where you can go on their website and look through different building plans for ADUs and choose one that matches your size and what you're looking for. And I also ask because I know we're going to be considering the housing element next week. And I believe there was some general language there about ADUs and facilitating that process a bit more.
So the city is currently working on that and creating some models or templates that to incentivize property owners or to facilitate that process, that they can basically use a city-approved plan to build their accessory dwelling unit. And Ali can elaborate a little bit more, maybe where we're at in the process.
Okay, that's great. I'm happy to hear that. And is there a rough timeline for that?
I'm sorry, Commissioner, can you repeat your question, please?
Yeah, sorry. Is there a rough timeline for that, or when the city would have those template plans available for residents to see and consider using to build an ADU on their sites?
Thank you. We are aiming for by summer 2023, so in about the next 6 months. We just received some template plans from our RFP that went out, and we're currently evaluating those to make sure that they are consistent with our code standards. So the process is rolling along.
Okay, great. And you said summer 2023, so just want to confirm you meant 2022?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Great. Those are all my questions for now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Ramos. Did you, I'm not sure I caught all of your comments. Did you request an item for next meeting's agenda?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
So, Ali, question again. The templates are going to be just set up for ADUs, correct?
That's correct. We received funding through SB2 grants some time ago to help us for that specific purpose. So the notion of like a boilerplate template that the Vice Chair and Commissioner Ramos brought up is very new, because SB9 is such a new law that we're still evaluating whether even it's, and many cities are still evaluating whether it's even feasible to have boilerplate templates for an SB9 subdivision as opposed to an ADU, which is a little bit more like fitting a Lego on top of another Lego.
Okay, and is there any reason why we're not talking about SB10 also?
SB 10, it was passed, but it's up to each city to adopt an ordinance if they want to pursue and allow up to 10 units per parcel. But at this point, staff has not received any direction that there's interest from the council. And so at this point, we're not doing anything about it.
Okay.
It's up to each individual jurisdiction whether they want to adopt an ordinance to allow it.
Do we know what other cities, municipalities are doing with regard to SB9? Are
Yes.
they accepting it, or are they pushing back?
It's already law, so they are working in adopting objective standards and adopting an ordinance. Many cities are doing urgency ordinances, just like we are. That's what most cities are doing.
Thank you. I have a couple comments for future agenda items. I think it'd be a good idea to update us on the ADU template process, plan for implementation, and so forth. And another item, we approved the general plan, and there's a lot of things involved with that, particularly when it comes to zoning, that I think are really important to resolve because of the new higher density areas we're talking about. Look at the zoning and adjacent areas and how we're going to deal with scale and issues such as that. So I think that's really important to hear about that.
Definitely.
Very soon.
I think once the general plan is adopted, as we know, City Council did not adopt the general plan. It was postponed. So staff is intending to continue to work on it and provide an update, definitely an annual review of the general plan, as well as having that 5-year more comprehensive review, setting up priorities and goals and things that we want to accomplish during a span of 5 years. So definitely it will be coming to you guys a lot in the future.
Thank you. Do you have any final comments from commissioners?
And then Chair, just as a friendly reminder, the other topic was to talk about just zoning code cleanup topics. So if you all are finished with SB 9, we can move on to that.
Oh, okay, thank you.
But I'm not sure, are there any other comments? All right, thank you. So in addition to the work that Fabiola is undertaking with SB 9, we're also proposing some cleanups to the zoning code, for which there will also be a study session with Planning Commission to help you get a better sense of the details of those cleanups. But as a highlight, we'll just be bringing to you essentially 4 cleanups. The first will address family daycare in single family homes. In 2020, a new law was passed in California allowing up to 14 children to be taken care of in a family daycare without the need for any permit or any license or any clearance at all. So our current code states that up to 8 children is fine. After 8 to 14, you need to have a land use certificate. The code will be cleaned up to be conformant to state law and basically remove that requirement. The second topic is an update to the regional planned sign programs ordinance. That's the ordinance that allows regional centers in Santa Ana to have digital signage and creative signage like Main Place Mall and Hutton Center and other facilities like McFadden Place. We're also aiming to add regional institutions like hospitals and higher education campuses. During the pandemic, what we saw was a lot of sort of like celebratory banners and recognitions and signage put up at hospitals like UCI Medical Center outside of the city and the Tustin Avenue Global Medical Center. This would kind of formalize their ability to do that sort of signage. And then thirdly, short-term rentals. Right now, the code is silent on short-term rentals like Airbnbs and VRBOs. The code would be updated to actually define short-term rentals and then create a section on prohibited uses and add short-term rentals to that list, along with other currently prohibited uses like cyber cafes. So we kind of formalize that prohibition and make it clear to the reading public. And then lastly, home occupation permits. We found during the pandemic that because so many folks were now working from home or in the creative industries, that the restriction on allowing only one home-based business was not working for a lot of families in Santa Ana. So that would be changed to allow 2 home-based businesses. But the regulations themselves on home-based businesses, basically requiring low-key, non-impactful home-based businesses, those would not change. It would just simply allow 2 home-based business licenses instead of just 1. So those would be the 4. And a lot of them are in response to COVID and lessons that we've learned, and others are in response to changes in state law. Be happy to answer any questions as well.
We don't regulate home-based businesses into the preparation of food or food product.
State law allows that. That's called a cottage food industry. And our code was updated maybe like 8-9 years ago to reflect that state law. So one can actually operate a home-based food business for things like pies and baked goods and some limited like dairy and meats. And state law has a whole set of regulations for that as well.
So we govern the control of sanitation.
Correct. They still have to go through health department approvals and all that. But unlike other home-based businesses, if you were to have what's called a cottage food home-based business, you're allowed to have a very small window sign and you're allowed to receive customers at your house. Not as a restaurant, but just to come and pick up and take away.
So in these times of COVID-19, who's liable if something goes sour? There's the industry, the cottage industry. With the pandemic virus that spread with the production of these things that we have to improve.
I'm not sure if that has been tested by the courts, but certainly a topic to think about.
Or we just concentrate on we're only doing the zone.
Correct, yeah.
But just out of curiosity, I mean, I kind of get where Alan's going. Isn't the county still responsible for the public health of that facility?
Yeah, county's still responsible for inspections and certifying the facility as
Right.
Meeting health.
It's county health that handles that,
Correct.
not the city of Santa Ana. The city of Santa Ana handles the business permit, but not the health care.
Correct, yeah, we'll handle the land use clearance, the
I think
zoning
that's-
permit, and then the health department review is done by the health department.
once the permit is issued, is that transmitted to county health so that there's communication there that the business exists, or how does the approval happen?
So the information is not transmitted to the county like in a report per se, but that law actually specifically requires that when an applicant approaches a local agency like our planning counter, that we provide information on what is required, like a health department clearance, and information on how to contact them.
It seems like where we're limited is that we deal with the zoning and planning issue in conforming with the state laws on zoning and issue. The regulation of what goes on with those businesses, the health and safety, is not a jurisdiction. As we always reminded that there's a limitation to our role as planning commission, a limitation to the jurisdiction of city council, and other kinds of enforcement that we sometimes get complaints about comes in other areas, another jurisdiction. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
I just want to clarify that what we have a responsibility for and a limitation.
The other area is it not the 501c3 can also they don't have to have a permit from you, whether they have to have healthcare. If it's 501c3 that's producing the food.
One way or another, if it's a 501c3, I think the city's practice is to still require a business license,
Okay.
But not charge taxes,
Right.
if there's nothing to report. But you're still required to have the land use clearance through the home
Right.
occupation
Yeah.
permit.
We change signage.
Do we have any other comments on that topic? Thank you. Did you have a comment, Commissioner Laughlin?
Yeah, signage. What's the situation? Because this one came up a couple of days ago at a board meeting, and what's the deal on building ramps? Is that going to change?
So short answer, no. And the reason for that is that right now, the process is such that if you're eligible to even apply for a regional plan sign program, then that could be one element of your sign package. So that's already hypothetically allowed if one were to include it in their sign package under a regional plan sign program application, then it could be reviewed by the planning commission, and the commission could take a vote as to approve or deny it. The ordinance would simply now, in addition to like car dealerships, in addition to like regional commercial centers and regional attractions, we're proposing to add regional institutions like hospitals and colleges to that family of facilities that could apply. And then that application, like let's say it's Global Medical Center, they could in their application include a proposal for a RAP, and then the commission could vote to either approve or deny.
Okay. It's Rancho, by the way.
Rancho.
Yeah, because there's on the other side of the Discovery, and they see everything that the Discovery has, and they're talking about wanting, and this has been going on for 10, 15 years.
Okay.
But they want to do a building wrap.
So yeah, to that point, then if that facility off Broadway and the 5 is meeting the definition of now a regional institution, then they, just like Discovery, could submit that package for the commission's review.
Okay. So you have to do the regionals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you. Final comments from commissioners? I just wanted to say thank you to AT&T for putting in that cell tower. I noticed the coverage is quite improved. So it's always good to get better coverage in the city. So we'll adjourn the meeting to our next meeting, which is a special meeting on Monday, December 20th at 5:30 p.m.
Yeah, but yes,
That wasn't commissioner comment
okay,
portion.
then.
So we're adjourned to December 20th, 5:30 PM.